It is time for us to head to the warmer climate, Florida. Time to bring in Tim Luke and Greg Schraub, the appraisal guys, the frickin' frack of Nick and Nack, TQAG.com on the web. That stands for Treasure Quest Appraisal Group. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I was listening to your sponsor. Thank you there. I didn't realize that that Champagne Wishes and Caviar Dreams, Robin Leach was now selling real estate.
Well, we've got the original Robin Leach, not that.
The original Robin.
The original
Okay.
Robin Leach, yeah. Robin Leach Real Estate. It would be nice to have. Didn't Robin Leach, the other one, die? Or is he still alive?
Oh, I'm sure he must have, because he was born in the early 40s. So if not, he's quite elderly by now, I'm sure.
Well, our Robin Leach is alive and well, and he also hosts a car show here called Car Talk. Not Car Talk, listen to me. Not Car Talk, it's Car Keys. I'm all excited about Bernie, so I'm kind of giddy this morning.
Well, what is it? I'm going to make a pun here. Everything old, it's new again.
Hindsight is 2020.
There's another good one. Yes,
but you look at the top tier of popular presidential candidates on the Democratic side. Elizabeth Warren turned 70. Of course, Hillary was 71. Biden is 72. Bernie is 72. And then you look on the other side, and Trump is like 72. So, hey, you know what? It may be millennials that run society, but it's a bunch of old folks.
Yes, it was funny because we don't get political on our show, but I just have to say this. We were, I forget what we were watching, and the person that was the guest on this show was saying, look at during the hearings for the Kavanaugh hearings, the four top Republicans were all 85 years old.
Well, it's
that were running the country. We went to see a comedian. Kathleen Madigan, who was one of our favorites, and she was talking about her parents, being elderly, and I really related to this because I think most of us can, going through it with our parents. And he said, my parents are in their mid to late 70s. They're great between 10 and 2. After that,
10 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon.
2 in the afternoon. And she said, we have all of these 85-year-olds running our country. What are they doing after 2 o'clock?
It's a great it's a great job if you can afford to get it. Okay.
Really?
So now, what should we talk about here, appraisal wise?
Well, it's interesting because I was sitting here. Every morning when I get on, I always go online and I check to see what auctions are coming up, what online sales are coming up, because we used to do them on a regular basis. And I happened to come upon an auction company out of New York. They're selling 200 lots of Steiff animals and bears. Well, the market for Steiff since probably the early part of the 2000s has really kind of tanked, because prior to that, when it was really, really hot, a lot of people still weren't on the internet. They still weren't it wasn't really the World Wide Web as we know it today. So consequently, things that were thought to be rare, we now find out are commonplace. So what is the economic rule there? It's supply and demand. So this collection of 200 bears, I'm scrolling through and I'm looking, and honestly, I said to Tim, when we were selling these, we could add a 0 to almost every single one of these items. The estimates are so low and the opening bids are so low that it just really gives me a really good idea of where the market is for dolls and collectible bears at this point in time. And we used to use this particular area, dolls and bears, because it was probably one of the hottest collectible areas, as sort of a barometer of where the market is. And after looking at these 200 lots, it seems that the market is really kind of flat as far as collectibles and what's happening in the collectibles market. So everybody said, well, the internet's going to ruin collectibles. Well, it's not that it ruins collectibles. What we've discovered is that it's leveled the playing field, and now they're getting fair. Everyone is paying fair prices for what is being offered.
Well,
So
it's also, I think you have less people that are collecting as they did 20 years ago, because there was a certain demographic that was going after it. And after 2008, when they lost a lot of money and realized, I have these big collections, let me try and sell them, that's when they got the reality check, is that, oh, you mean they're not that old? Oh, you mean they're not that valuable? And it's just, that's where, and now there's a lot of that out there, and this next generation is not so much into it's not so much into stuff, it's more experiences. So you have less people that are going for really one-of-a-kind, great items. So it's, or these collections, they don't want to build a collection like that and say, even and a lot of the bears that you were taking a look at, Greg, a lot of them were done in the probably the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, and some 90s.
Yes.
Is that's what you're looking at, and that's what we sold. We did sell a lot of that, but we also sold some of the earlier stuff. But even that market, which I've seen at Bertoia, has changed dramatically too, because it's not as valuable, or not as desirable, and you don't have as many people. And the other thing is that in the demographic of collectors, a lot of those collectors have either retired, they were dealer collectors, and you don't have a number of people that are coming back in. And that's
I think it's worth noting that we keep saying this a lot, and we've talked about this on the show before with you, Marshall, about we keep saying when 2008 happened. Well, 2008, I think if it hadn't, I know, if it hadn't happened, we probably would not. It was like a checking point. 2008 was a checkpoint of reality of what was actually starting to happen in the collecting market. And I think had that not happened, I don't think there would have been a clear, distinct line in the sand as to what has happened to the collecting market since 2008. So
that was just a real area that was like boom. But I think it also helped educate people to, oh, these are limited editions. You mean, the Franklin Mint items don't hold the value that they said they would. And again, if you collect it and you love it, great. And here's a great opportunity if you love the Steiff collectibles to go out and find them. There are sales and auctions that are taking place all the time, because there's a lot of stuff that's out there. That's just the reality.
Well, here's, and I'm no big knowledgeable person, but it's my idea that picking up a collectible, as risky as it might be, to me is far less risky in the long term than going into the stock market. Now, I know the stock market, you can make a lot of money. That's true. But you can be a small collectible person who just does it because you enjoy it,
and then love it.
That's what we want to tell people, is do it because you like it and you love it, and it has nothing to do with these are not major commodities like art.
Yeah, but but it might lead, if you're young enough and you get into collectibles, you will slowly educate yourself so that by the time you're an adult, I mean, Darren Winston, the bookseller here in Sharon, got into books and collecting things when he was young, and he became extremely knowledgeable. And he's now working in Philadelphia at one of the big collectible houses, assessing books and stuff. You know, you can grow into it and all of a sudden know what you're doing, and it might turn into something else. That's the great thing, I think, about what as not only an auctioneer or you, Tim, but as your company and Treasure Quest Appraisal Group, is that you let people know honestly what they have.
And that is my point, is that whether it is the stock market or whether it is collecting, you need to have advisors, and you need to go to someone that you know you can trust and say, well, you know, where do I go and what do I do? And I mean, we have a divorce attorney that keeps telling me, I want to get into comic books. I want to get into comic books. I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. This is where you want to be. And I keep telling him that. And he has gone into other things, and he has thanked me. But I said, I said, you wanted to go into comic books 25 years ago so that you can now be at a point. I said, it's too expensive now. And I said, it's just not something that I would want you to be in. Here's where I think you could be, and make other choices. And that's the big thing. And I think just like you do have a financial advisor, you should have a collection advisor if you're looking to collect. Somebody, and that is just what you were saying, Marshall, is that when you're young and you're starting out, you go to different people and you talk to mentors and dealers and you establish relationships so that you can learn, so that you then know you can make educated decisions. And that's what we try to do with a lot of our clients when they are faced with, what do we do with this? I mean, we're working with 2 or 3 different clients right now where we have to sell, but where's the right market and what do we have to do? And I just had a phone call for a divorce where they have to split up this collection, and neither party knows what the value is. So I don't even know what I'm looking at, but I'm going to go and look at it on Thursday, and then I'll have an idea and say, oh, here's what you have, because if it's gallery art, that's one market, and if it's more fine and collectible type items, then it goes to a different market, and if it's neither of those, then it goes to a third market. And that's the thing with personal property.
When when the collectible market was really, really hot in the early part of the 2000s, we had several clients who hired us only to focus on helping them expand their collection. And you had touched on this just a little bit a few moments ago, Marshall, when you said that, you know, have somebody help you. So just like people today have art advisory people who help them buy these multi-million-dollar paintings, there are people who can help you focus what your collection is, what you like to collect, and even if something is, say, of like $400 or $500, if that's all you can afford, try to find the best item in that price range. Yeah. And then hang on to it and enjoy it. And then when it's time to let it go, don't expect it, you know, you can't expect it to necessarily increase in value.
Appreciate. If it does, that's a great byproduct.
I just want to endorse that, but from a slightly different angle. When you were talking about the STIFE, you know, listen, things became, when things heat up like that, you can't buy them intelligently because you're paying it. So
comic books.
Right, but here's the thing. If you like it, and if the point of collecting is to build a collection and be passionate about something and go seek things out, which is actually more constructive than saying, okay, I'm going to buy this and pray that it increases tenfold.
Right, as an investment.
Right. You know, then you're doing the collecting, and the other stuff, this is the endorsement, is a bonus.
Correct.
And that's what I think people now have an opportunity to do if they're so inclined. Even your guy who wants comic books, unless he's trying to make a quick buck.
No,
Well-
he's just doing it for investment.
There's one very important distinction about collecting that we've talked about ad nauseum, and that is collect what you like, but also you have to understand the you're collecting because you like it. You're not collecting it because this is going to send your kid to college.
Right.
Because it just doesn't happen that way. It just doesn't. And that's the one thing that has not changed. And I just remember when the Steiff teddy bear sold to Japan for, what was it, Tim? $342,000?
No, it was $136,000.
$136. And a woman called Tim when he was at Christie's and said, where do I have one just like that. Where should I send it? What's your address? Like she was expecting she was going to get the same amount for it. Well, those days, even then, that was not going to happen. But
and she didn't have the bear. She thought.
And she yeah. So
that's
these sort of things. Go ahead, Marshall.
No, it's good because we have to wrap up in the next minute. I said, but I would say that, but that's the lesson for people to learn or to remind, just to remind themselves.
Right. It's just do it because you love it, and grab what you can and get the best that you can afford. That's the whole thing, and seek out those advisors, because if it's for the love of it, wonderful. We're all for that.
All right, guys, we'll speak to you next week.
Hey, have a great week.
Take care.
Have a great week.
Bye-bye, guys. Tim, Luke, Greg Schraub, the appraisal guys, the frickin' frack of Nick and Knack, TQAG.com, Treasure Quest Appraisal Group with Appraise This.